If we examine meditation in Buddhism, we can come to one of two conclusions. Either meditation does not exist, or there is no way to meditate. Both of these conclusions lead us to the same place, as they both imply the same thing. For example, in the Maharatnakuta, in the discourse between the Bodhisattva Manjushri and While Abiding Mind, the text states, "Great sage, who is a monk who practices meditation?" Manjushri answered, "Son of heaven, if a monk selects one practice from all Dharma teachings, that is, the doctrine of non-arising, and thoroughly complies with it, he is said to truly practice meditation. Moreover, if he knows that there is not a single Dharma that can be grasped, he is said to practice meditation. What does he not grasp? He does not grasp this era or that era, the three realms, and so on, including all dharmas. Abiding in such equality, he is said to practice meditation. Son of heaven, if one who practices meditation does not respond to any dharma, neither unifying himself with it, nor separating himself from it, he is said to truly practice meditation." Although that is a practice from the Mahayana, let's look at a practice given by the Buddha in the Bahia Sutra, which is from the Pali Canon in the Uddana. Here in Bahia, you should train yourself thus. In the seen will merely be what is seen. In the heard will be merely what is heard. In the sensed will be merely what is sensed. And in the cognized will be merely what is cognized. In this way, you should train yourself, Bahia. As we can see, there is no practice to be found in this whatsoever, as these are not actually detailing any actions, but matters of perception. To elaborate, we can also relate this to some verses from Nagarjuna's fundamental Wisdom of the Middle Way, where he states, "If to grasp on to the view, the impermanent is permanent, were an error. Since in emptiness there is nothing impermanent, how could that grasping be an error? If to grasp onto the view, the impermanent is permanent, were an error, why isn't grasping onto the view, in emptiness there is nothing impermanent, an error? That by means which there is grasping, and the grasper, and all that is grasped, all are being relieved. Therefore, it follows that there is no grasping. If there is no grasping, whether erroneous or otherwise, who will come to be in error? Who will have no error? Error does not develop in one who is in error. Error does not develop in one who is not in error. Error does not develop in one whom error is arising. In whom does error develop? Examine this on your own. If error is not arisen, how could it come to exist? If error has not arisen, how could one be in error? So if there is no grasper, grasping, or the grasped, and errors are simply a matter of perception, then what even is meditation, and what is the need for meditation? Furthermore, these discourses show that firstly, there is no meditation in the sense that is, there is no action called meditation, or no action of meditation. And this is also supported by Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna states, "This agent does not perform an existent action, nor does some non-existent agent perform some existent action. An existent entity has no activity. There would also be action without an agent. An existent entity has no activity. There would also be agent without action. Without a cause, the effect and its cause will not occur. Without this, activity and agent and action are not possible. If activity, etc., are not possible, entities and non-entities are not possible. If there are neither entities nor non-entities, effects cannot arise from them. From this, we can discern that firstly, there is no meditator or meditation, as according to Nagarjuna, if the meditator is non-existent, they cannot meditate. As he further elaborates, that motion is just the mover itself is not correct, nor is it correct to say that they are completely different. It would follow from the identity of a mover and motion, in this case we can say meditator and meditation, that agent and action are identical. It would follow from a real distinction between motion and mover that there could be a mover without motion, or meditator without meditation, and a motion without mover. When neither in identity nor in difference can they be established, then how can these two be established at all? If there is no agent or self in Buddhist metaphysics, in this case being the meditator, it then logically follows that even if there was such a thing as meditation, it could still not be done, as the meditator is non-existent and therefore cannot engage in either an existent or non-existent practice. Could it not be said, however, that perceiving things differently is a form of being mindful of your perceptions, and thus could be said to be a practice of meditation? This view is not supported by the Maharatnakuta, as it states in the Discourse on Ready Eloquence. Then Pure Giving said to Ravata, "Virtuous one, the world-honored one says that you stand first among those who practice meditation. When you practice meditation, do you rely on your mind or not? If you rely on your mind to enter meditation, then your meditation is unreal. Since your mind is unreal, like an illusion, if you enter meditation without relying on your mind, then such external objects as grasses, trees, branches, leaves, flowers, fruits should also be able to achieve meditation, because they too have no mind." The virtuous Ravata was also rendered speechless. But one could ask, are not mindfulness and cultivating inner peace not central to Buddhist doctrine? I ask, why would you cultivate mindfulness and inner peace then? Is it because being unmindful and unpeaceful are seen as defilements? This view is not supported by the Maharatnakuta, as in a dialogue with the Buddha himself it says, "Manjushri, do you attach or detach yourself from the defilements?" Manjushri says, "All defilements are equal in reality. I have realized that equality through right practice. Therefore I neither detach myself from the defilements nor abide in them. If a Shramana or Brahmin claims that he has overcome passions and sees others as being defiled, he has fallen into the two extreme views. What are the two? One is the view of eternalism, maintaining that the defilements exist. The other is the view of nihilism, maintaining that defilements do not exist. World-honored one, he who practices rightly sees no such thing as self or other, existence or non-existence. Why? Because he comprehends all dharmas clearly." If we examine the ontology of Buddhism, we can find that meditation has the same nature as all things, and therefore could be said to be neither existent nor non-existent. Thus, it has the same nature as the defilements. If we examine it from a practical perspective, there is no action or way to meditate. I argue that this leads us to the conclusion that there is no meditation, and especially no need for it, even though the word meditation may be used many times throughout Buddhist canonical philosophy. Why I say that you can come to the conclusion that meditation does not exist is because the metaphysics discussed does not allow for such actions to be possible or have a benefit or have anything to attain. As lastly in the Mahabharata it says, "What is a Shramana who is deceptively dignified in conduct? Suppose a Shramana displays full dignity in walking, standing, sitting, lying down. He is composed, serene, does not take delicacies, follows the Four Noble Practices, avoids the bustling crowd, even a group of monks, and speaks softly. However, he does all this deceitfully, not for the sake of true purity, or he thinks there is something to be attained in emptiness, and is afraid of the doctrine of non-attainment, just as one is afraid of an abyss he regards as enemies or bandits, those monks who preach that all dharmas are ultimately empty. Such a Shramana is one who is deceptively dignified in conduct." Now that we're done with the quotes, I'd like to talk about meditation from my own perspective for a little bit. What is meditation? Usually, it's when you try and sit down or have no thoughts or no concepts, as others will say. But this does absolutely nothing for you. The negation of thoughts and concepts is not peaceful. It is a struggle, and it is a futile one. At that, you are not only fighting with your own thoughts and feelings, and even if you have some kind of experience while meditating, it only leaves you wanting more, wanting to continue this fabricated peace which will never last. Whether you practice for hours or practice for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it does not matter. Even if you are to try and see thoughts in and of themselves, that is still a continuation of the exact same abstraction being applied as a patch or medication for thoughts and concepts. Because why are you doing so, and who is doing so? One thought arises and says, for example, I am angry or I'm sad. And then another thought arises saying, okay, no, I must not feel this way, or I must control my thoughts. You see where I'm getting at. Who is the controller? Which thought is the controller? Is the controller of thought not just another thought? Therefore, it is simply a practice in futility, because it is just another attempt to escape from yourself and not confront what the actual problems are. I will end this by asking you, and not necessarily saying comment, I'm saying see and ask for yourself. Why is the mind chatting?